Okay, Eric McManaway,
Present.
Dan Osborne,
Present.
Wayne is no longer on the board, Joel,
Present.
I'm here, Chester,
Present.
John Miller.
Present.
Bobby Cooper, assume is not online. Okay. All right,
We have one person online.
oh, and, Jerry Sauer,
Nice member.
new member, welcome.
Welcome. All right, there's a flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You're up. Yeah, all right. Barney and I wanted to take a moment not to.
Can you give your name for the?
Yes, I can. My name's Kevin Dotz. I'm town manager of Culver. The town manager of Culver. Thank you very much. We're wanting to talk a little bit about an upcoming meeting we're going to be having with the Culver Equities developer in the Dunes complex. They are going through the process right now of submitting their plans. The first step for that is they're going to be meeting with the TRC, the Technical Review Committee. They're going to bring those plans in. What you're going to do is vet, or what they're going to do, or been asked to do, is to vet the water, the sanitary, and the storm, the infrastructure going into it. That TRC meeting is going to be attended by Scott Seipel from Midwestern, our engineer. He's been vetting the project, he's been guiding them, and all the qualifications that are necessary for the town, and then some of the additional things that the town has requested. For example, high water relief on the north side that they're putting in. So we're checking these things. That TRC meeting is scheduled beginning, we're going to go hopefully next Thursday. They're having to scramble, quite frankly, a bit to get the plans organized and vetted by Scott before they go into that meeting. I've informed them it is in their best interest to have a successful TRC meeting to make sure Scott Seipel's on board. We've asked him, we've paid him to vet. He's been involved in this project from the very beginning, has been looked at it. One of the things that we're asking after the TRC is coming to the Plan Commission. I wanted to make sure that you guys understand this isn't going to be a normal case where it comes to you guys and you're the first pair of eyes on this. Now, that's not meant to influence or skew anything. It's just simply so you understand the context of what's being presented to you. The plans and the submittal that's coming before you will be vetted by the TRC, Scott Seipel, the Midwestern engineer, as well as months of work by the town. That does not mean your job is not to vet it. It's just to allow you to have a context that there's been a lot of history and eyes on this plan prior to it coming to your presentation. That way you'll understand. I would also like to invite Scott Seipel from Midwestern to the Planning Commission meeting that night. And that way, if you guys have questions, Scott's an engineer, but he's a unique engineer because he speaks normal person language too. He can translate things for us, and I found him to be quite useful. Engineers don't always have that quality. He does. He'd be an asset for you guys that way, because I'm certainly not qualified. Marty and I have had to use Scott to kind of translate what's going on for us, and we've trusted him all the way, and he's done us right. So if that's acceptable for you guys, I'll invite Scott to the next planning, if they get on the docket for the planning, and they've still got to clear the TRC. So that's just an update for you guys.
I wanted to just make sure that, last time we talked about the dunes, you said, geez, no one's really talked to us much about it, right? And so I sent a few links and some documents, but now it's coming, now the spotlight is turning to you, right?
Yeah.
On this project. And I just wanted to hold myself and Kevin out as resources for you to get up to speed on this. We'd be happy to sit down with you one-on-one or in small groups and talk you through, this is where it's been. These are the issues that have come up. This is how they've been resolved. Here's what we expect you might hear, when you address it or when they address you. There is a timing element to this, which is, I don't want to say a concern to me, but it's in, it exists. So I just want to share it with you. If the project is to move forward, in a timely way for us, then we probably would like to see it go smoothly through this commission, one way or the other, right? You know, I think Mr. Fox would call it a dispositive meeting, right? So you either go up or down, right? No, not, geez, let's take another 60, 30 days to look at it. So to the extent that we can put you in a position to make those decisions or make, you know, one of those decisions when you do see the project in March, that will help us, help the developer get the dirt turned in April, as opposed to his taking his crews and devoting it to other projects. And then it becomes something that, you know, gets done down the line in a less certain way.
Under those grounds, would it be maybe as far as this board having we call it it would be called an executive meeting,
It'd be a work session.
a work session. That's
A
what
work
it is.
session is an option. One of the things that I'm encouraged by is that we have some seated members on the planning that also serve on our TRC. So they're gonna have a pretty thorough review.
Right. We have two.
With Bob, exactly. And Bob Porter's gonna be sitting as well.
My next question, make sure he was.
Bob is definitely on board, being there. They need his signature on a few things. They have not obtained it yet. They will not obtain it until they pass the TRC. And they have been given from the engineer and from the town of Culver. We had a discussion with them last week. They know what we're expecting. So there's no hidden agenda here. We've given them our conditions that, and everything that they're designing has to be based upon approval of IDEM. So everything they're putting in the ground is gonna be, it has to be standard municipal IDEM materials. So the specs are, like Bob called me today, he said, I don't give them specs because the specs are given. Right, and so so everything we're gonna be looking at in the plans have to fit the state IDEM, as well as what Scott has been telling them in terms of feedback. Scott has provided them 5 sessions, at least, I think, 5 sessions of feedback on notes when they submitted their plans to him. So he's been in constant dialogue with the developer probably since July, since I came on board at least. And that's what.
So I'm a little, I want to make sure I'm not coming across as, you know, there used to be the sign at work, you know, the secretary said, your lack of proper planning does not constitute an emergency on my part.
Oh.
And this developer is kind of acted that way. They've been slow when it comes to getting this stuff done, you know, the engineering done and I mean, they've known for a long time that they needed to do this and it has us scratching our heads. So we'll see, right, if they get the
Right.
submission in time for the TRC.
I don't sound negative, but
Right.
I do know the planning commission does need to make sure we're all aware.
Exactly.
Well, absolutely. It has to run absolute 100%. And we were approached about whether or not it was even necessary. And the answer was yes. It has to go before plan. It wasn't optional. And to our benefit, the developer said this has been one of the most reviewed projects he's ever been a part of.
So to the extent that we can help, right, fill in any gaps, knowledge gaps going into it, we would like to do that.
Sounds like we're moving in the right direction.
Okay.
So,
If I may add just to that briefly, so they said that would be in March, so the next meeting. Also in that meeting, they're gonna come before this board for 2 different things. The first one is a replatting. It's currently got 4 parcels and they're going to 3 parcels, but it's a major subdivision because of the roads and things going in. So that'll be the first part of it. The second part will be review of the plans themselves.
Both of them would be advertised as a public hearing.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
They'll be in the paper on the 22nd.
So we should say, so what, I guess what I'm alluding to is, so you want us to save any questions that we might have for when Scott is here at our meeting?
You could
next-
certainly ask us beforehand if there's something that we can answer, but if it's not, I'll tell
All
you.
right. Okay, I do have a question. So before, I'm talking a year or so, there is litigation, and is there any pending litigation against this project at this point in time? Or has that been withdrawn?
That's been cleared and there is no litigation that I'm aware of, and that means I'm just using kind of that legal term, but no.
Okay, all right.
Marty, would that be an accurate statement in your opinion?
Yeah, but again, the lawyer, get the right term, but I think dismissed with prejudice, meaning
Yeah.
they can't bring it.
Okay,
And that was
Alright.
back.
that's why I wanted an update on.
Right. Good question, because I had it come through.
Okay.
The other question I have is probably a Bob thing. Like, I know that the water treatment facility is designed to probably take on another 400 some houses. This is going to kind of surpass that. What are we looking at?
Actually, we're gonna stay at 300 units here. That's at maximum occupancy as well. The numbers that came back on the testing, in terms of the well and capacity studies, all came back favorable. I can say that with confidence, but that is absolutely something that would be welcomed as a question.
Yeah.
During, just that.
Pleasure.
And that's the thing I want to encourage, by no means hold back, the questions need to come forth from you guys. Because I want those, even if they are redundant, it really doesn't matter. Make sure if you have questions to pop them out there and get them on record.
Yeah.
I want this thing to have eyes on it, but I just wanted to be fair and let you know that this is a little different than the normal process, because the TRC and they've been working with our engineers for months now. And they've been getting the feedback, so it will be a pretty, as they call it, clean script as it comes to you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So the two actions are gonna be asked of us are replanning and then review of site plan. That,
Yes.
I think that's accurate.
Assuming Thursday goes well.
Assuming they get their ducks in a row and herd them into this room, yes, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, TRC is basically a review committee anyway.
It is.
And it would be required for a lot of other purposes.
This is not out of the ordinary that way. That's why they're going through the process.
For the questions, if we do have any more questions, I mean, I'd say at this time, I think it's not informational right now. But,
Did we want to go ahead and have a work session about this?
let's go through what we've got as far as the meeting, unless you've got to leave or whatever. But, I think if we come back, even in old business, new business.
We can
Yeah.
revisit it, Gary, sorry, yes, we can revisit this, sure.
Yeah.
Right. Great.
Okay, I guess before we reorganize the commission, I think we ought to go ahead with the approval of the January 16th minutes, if everybody's had a chance to look at those. So move.
Second.
First and second. All in favor, no discussion, all in favor.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, same sign? We have some slides, right? Reorganization of the commission. Since we did not reorganize in January due to not knowing what members were going to be on and ones that were. But I would start out with our secretary, since that's the most important. I personally will nominate Don Fox.
Second.
Second.
moving way too fast on the guys, so not that good. Okay.
Oh, you can't talk your way out of it.
How do you spell that? Your way out.
Where am I?
That was not one fast enough. Conviction.
I have confirmed I was reappointed by the commissioners. I read it in the paper, so it must be so.
Anyway.
According to the Plymouth pilot, I have been reappointed, so.
Oh, really?
Oh, well, then good.
You were the only one though, right?
Was I reappointed?
You commission, well, no, you're commission.
I was done by the commissioners. Maybe
I wasn't looking.
maybe I'm done.
No, I'm sure you were. Okay.
Aye, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll abstain.
All right, next is President of Planning Commission. Just let everybody know that myself and a few others feel that I've already been appointed as president of TZA. But I don't think it would be publicly right I don't think there's any protocol legally that will keep you from that, but I do not want to be felt as a one controller of two different boards, one almost a conflict of each one, you know, so. President is open, besides me.
Gotta nominate.
I'll nominate Joel Samuelson as president.
Second,
We're gonna need your help, Chester.
All in-
Goes through.
All in favor?
I,
Say.
Joel,
Joe, appreciate it. I know
could
you've been.
you pound the gavel, please?
Yeah.
So
You don't have any-
That's all we need.
that's official.
don't break it, Joel.
Aye.
We can replace it.
All right, vice president. Anybody be open for that?
John.
Barry, you wanna be open for that?
That's actually a pretty good idea, Chester. Actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was in with Barry, vice president.
Second.
You, your call.
I'll take it, but you gotta show up.
Right. If he doesn't, Barry. Just like we do on BZA, okay, same deal.
Thank
Right.
you. Okay.
All right.
All right, I got first and second. Everybody opposed, say aye. Oh, I said it wrong. I'm sorry. All in favor, say aye. Aye, I'll take it. Any opposed? Same sign.
Did you abstain or vote for yourself?
I voted for myself.
I
Wasn't no need.
He voted twice for himself. You voted twice for yourself, right?
Okay. And I guess, actually, I can't remember.
You're done.
And favor Stephen Hall.
Okay. All
Hey,
right.
so you see, you aren't there.
No, you good for right now. So hearings today, we got case number 2023-P103157, 1784 East Shore Drive, Peacock Residence, a replat of a part of Lot 3 subdivision of Lot 4 in Union Township, Marshall County. Now, what that is, Ms. Reese, maybe?
Yes, basically what we're doing, I call this a no-brainer.
Thank you.
We're well suited for that.
Yeah, but every case you
Amen.
in front of us is a no-brainer case, come on.
You don't have to say that. You don't have to say
Oh,
it out loud.
yeah. We don't say no very often.
Basically, these, two lots that we're looking at is shown on this depiction. It's actually on the survey that I filed, if people read it, compared to those surveys, they're so darn small. But these two neighbors have been wonderful neighbors for probably 40 years. They've gotten along really well. Everything's fine. They were quite aware that there was a problem with the property line between the two houses. But now one of the neighbors to the north, the big lot there in the north, is going to sell her property this spring. So they have agreed that the neighbor to the south will pick up that parcel that I've identified in the yellow. And we would like to replat the one lot to the south to include that triangular strip. And the advantage is, if you notice, those old houses back in the 1920s weren't built parallel to the property line. And nobody knew any better back then, but it's become an issue in terms of distance from the property line. So this helps that situation. But that's basically what I'm asking for, is a replat of the south lot to include that triangular parcel. And that will become lot 1 when they replat subdivision.
To the, do the side,
Backyard setback.
setbacks.
They are good for the north lot. We went to 10 feet on the north lot. On the south lot, they aren't perfect, but they're a lot better than the 1.1 foot we had before.
Okay.
What's the address, Jim?
1687, something like that.
I'm trying to figure out in my mind exactly where that's.
Just
1784.
1784. It's just about across the street from the tennis courts, the paddleball
Yeah.
courts.
from, Maxinkuckee. It's right in that area.
Oh, it's right down Dr. Mary's, right?
Okay.
Yeah, you know where the tennis courts and the service facility for Maxinkuckee Country
It's
Club,
right in there.
right across the street from there.
Okay.
It's up on top of the hill.
So, see, this is a correction of a problem that's wasn't out there.
Been there for 80 years.
Yeah.
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 By moving that line, it's gonna make it a little bit more even on that side of the house for setback.
Right.
It's be better,
Yes.
yes.
So this is gonna be minor subdivision, south lots, lot 2, north lots, lot 1.
No, it's just gonna be the south lot 1, the north lot will just stay as a parcel.
Okay.
You're as bad as I am with my survey. I can't read that either.
I like those pictures. He knew. you
Yeah.
couldn't show that off.
I see.
We got to show it up. Yeah.
You gonna zoom in a little?
It's limited how much.
Oops.
I can't zoom in that much on my computer.
So they're going the extra,
See, if you notice on the north side of that blue square, it almost touches the house.
Yeah.
Pulling that out a little
They're
bit.
gonna pull that over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pulling it out.
When you're talking 1 point something feet
Yeah.
high up, you're not gonna see much.
Right. And like I said, as long as they were neighbors, it wasn't a problem. But now that the neighbor on the north's gonna sell, we just don't want any problems.
In case the neighbor decides to fence up or something.
Well, I mean, I think it's ideal because they give future sale, if you're anything like that, it's gonna be established now.
Exactly.
Problem comes up.
Yeah, because it already looks like it's gonna be hard to have access to the back of the property that remain as is.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So it'll be fun. Yeah.
Up front, yeah. I wish we had the lake property.
Yeah.
If there's no other discussions, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve it, whoever you smile.
Second?
We have a first and second. All those approved, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Passes.
Couple signature. You are now.
Oh, I get officially signed
Yeah.
it.
Right there.
Make it legible, Joel.
Probably take it back, mark it.
Can you zoom in closer than you can't, normal people can?
They say, wait.
I don't think so.
Very-
Can't zoom in that close on my computer.
Let me see if I go over here.
I guess for 20
Oops.
years now.
Yeah.
I have to go home.
I have to look at it from here.
I don't know where the obituary is.
Oh, God, bring a stain.
Clicked on the wrong property.
See, I can't zoom in like that.
It's not the same, yeah.
I have same access as you do.
Do you?
Huh?
I can't zoom in on my own property then.
That's the closest I could get.
That's closer than I can. I don't look if there's a setting maybe.
Thank you for your time, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll get the original back to you as soon as recorded and I'll jump on that. Because we do have a sale coming up, but we want to make sure that it's back.
Sounds good. Thanks for having everything, as always, prepared, so
Have that thing ready.
Idiot proof.
I'll be.
it is.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks, Jim. Thank you. All right, let's move on to TRC review.
So if you don't mind, Mr. President, I'm just gonna jump through my whole report.
That sound good?
And then I'll actually end more with the TRC, but in January, for building commissioners report in January, we had 3 building permits. Really, really low number. Total revenue from everything in January for building permits, TRC or Plan Commission BZA was $470. There's no updates on zoning ordinances. I identified 2 unsafe structures that outside of town limits that I'll be working with the county building inspector on those 2 different structures. It's not gonna happen quick. Solar battery ordinance team, we had a meeting today at 5:30, but only 3 people came, so we didn't get anything accomplished. I'll send an email out. Not 4 people come, sorry. I'll send an email out and with some more information and see if we can get together and make some things happen with that. For the TRC, had 1 meeting in January, and that was to discuss zoning ordinance revisions. I have some revisions, but I'm not quite ready for it. I'll bring it back to next month's meeting. Some of the ones we previously discussed with some different language in that. On that note, for the zoning ordinances that I mentioned earlier, Culver's going to pay Jeanette Cerisi to review all of our zoning ordinances. There'll of course be our recommendations. She's going to look at state statutes to make sure we're compliant with state statutes will be her primary goal. And then we can add in those things that we want for Culver that we don't already have, or some things that we want to change. That's sort of stuff I presented previously to you will come into play as part of it, but she wants to do that in just 2, no more than 3 big pieces. Doesn't want it in little chunks, wants big parts of it to do all at once. So we'll make our recommendations for that. Our zoning ordinances in general. So Articles 1 through 13 of our zoning ordinances. We're working on right now I call it the easier one, 7 through 12. 13, I believe 13 is the definitions, which that has to be updated also. But the easier, more general ones, when we get through 1 through and especially 6 are much more in depth. One through 6. Yeah, it is. It's the core. Like, I think it's 9 and 10 are talk about BZA and Plan Commission.
So it's just getting our books in order. It's not about.
It's getting, yes, it's getting our ordinances in order to make sure we're compliant with state statute, as well as we have the updates that reflect what we're doing or what we want to do moving forward.
Still waiting for what Marshall County and what their whole plan is as
So-
far as where we're going with ours.
We're watching them. We're watching Marshall County where they're going with their solar ordinance, which is just one. So in Article 6 of our ordinances, solar is section 200.
Okay.
And the battery storage is section 205. So we're watching them, what's happening with the county, but that's not going to stop us from moving forward either.
Well, that's good.
Taking that one, looking over them.
She will be, yes.
And I mean, all she's doing is going, trying to make sure it's according to state.
Yes.
We're not in comparison with. Okay, clear, so I don't. In the past, it has been kind of shifted back toward a lot of our ordinances.
We need to do what's best for Culver, but we also need to align as good as we can with the county, since we're essentially paying the county to do our inspections.
Right.
So we don't want to be so far skewed from the county. The more we can align with the county, the better. We'll still have to watch out for Culver's interest, of course.
I just want to make sure, because I know a lot of the Culver's interest, I'm not talking about the payment as far as anything goes on that. I'm just talking about some of the way that the ordinances are read and they're.
West Virginia's going to help us.
Kind of help us. I mean, Culver's a lot more unique than what county.
It absolutely is.
And sometimes in the past, I noticed a lot of the Culver has been overlooked as far as needs and. You know, I just want to make sure it doesn't continue in that range. My perspective from the years I've been here, I mean, I've seen a lot less depending on this plan commission overseeing what needs to be done, even on the lake, even though it's not in town. But
The bottom line is we'll do what's best for Culver within the state statutes.
there you go.
And the plan commission had one item on the agenda, which was to rezone from S1 to A1. That's going to be going to the town council at their next meeting for their approval on that or first reading. The BZA had 3 cases in January. 2 of those cases withdraw. The other case was 910 West Shore, which was passed. And on the TRC, we're having a regular meeting this Thursday, and then we're going to have a scheduled special meeting. I think I sent an email out on that today for, maybe not, maybe I was going to tell you, but for January 29th. It's a week from Thursday, February 29th. And that will be specific for the Dunes review of their site plans.
What was the time on that?
10 a.m. TRC meeting at 10 a.m. Yes.
It'll be, the review is 29th, which
Yeah,
is
we-
next Thursday.
The 22nd is a regular scheduled meeting, but we scheduled another meeting for the 29th specific to the Dunes to allow everyone to be, mostly our engineer. It's going to represent Culver, to be prepared to come to that.
Was that Kevin mentioned, same.
Yeah, Scott Seifel
Scott.
from Midwestern,
Yes.
has been involved since the infancy.
It's gonna be a 21.
Correct.
So I'll send you reminder emails, Barry and Chester. I'll make sure you get those. Otherwise, that's all I have to report to you. If you have any questions for me, I'd be happy to answer those if I can.
What kind of times or days would work for everybody to just get together so we can be informed? We wouldn't be able to vote on anything, but we could still get together. Correct.
I probably have to put a public notice out. I need to put a public notice out.
We'll have to have a 48-hour public notice.
For a work session?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I have to, yeah, but we have to have a public notice.
Which is not a problem, not a problem, just have to account for that going in.
So it's protocol.
When do you want to have, I mean, what kind of time frame are we talking about? Because I'm gonna be gone from next Wednesday or next Tuesday to next Thursday.
Oh.
So. But I would like to attend, but that's why I'm asking what's the time frame.
So, just for planning purposes, no. We're not gonna be meeting till March, is it 19th, Steve? For the planning? That our next planning?
I think it is.
Yeah, March 19th. So anytime before that will be, you'd want it a week before it maybe, so you can digest some of it, but a week before that, so there's not, you don't have to get it in this month, we have some time.
That's what I asked.
Yep, yeah, great question, because I want to make sure you guys know that when you make your decision here.
Yeah, anytime, even the first week of March, find a meeting, if we can, even the second week, right now, if it's worked out.
If you give me a date, I can make sure we're prepared.
Just leave it open right now for suggestions, everybody.
Yeah, I'd really like the work session too, because for that plan commission meeting, probably having to join remotely. And so I'd like to so I'm informed and educated on this.
Right.
It's so much easier to do it in person. I'll be going from like the 16th like within the next 10 days or so.
So I was Tuesday, March 12th, so
It's gonna be a town council meeting.
Tuesday?
Yeah, the 12th, or no, excuse me, Thursday. You're right. They moved it.
Yeah, that was like, I'm like, hey.
On my own calendar, you're good. Yeah, nope, that'd be perfect.
Tuesdays work.
We caught it. I probably missed that.
Yeah, good call.
Forgot about that. So,
I gotta move that off my calendar.
So Tuesday, March 12th, it'll be exactly a week before our meeting to hear about it, so.
Yeah,
6:30, 6.
Jared,
Yeah.
good for you?
I do 6:30, just like regular meeting.
6:30 meetings.
Just do
And
6:30.
would you just Marty and myself and the information? I can bring you everything that we've accumulated from the public hearings. Some of the things that we've had conversations about with the public. Would that be helpful for you guys?
Yeah.
Anything would be helpful.
A couple of topics that just so I'll give you some examples, if you don't mind, really quick on the new business there. One of the things that we've heard from the public is the concern about access to 17. We've approached the developer on that, we're obligated to provide it, but we can have that conversation. We can review it and we can talk about that. The flood area to the north and the wetlands, we can absolutely address that stuff with you, what we're proposing, Bob Porter and I and Scott. We'll talk about that if you guys want to. Some of the other things is access around, their concern is Ohio, Maine, and Davis.
Right.
And then Lake Shore too, where it bends out, right? We traffic flow and we've done some ACOG studies, but they're all projections. Right? But we can absolutely entertain those questions. I'll share that data with you that we've had. Anything else you think of, if you don't mind, in the next couple of weeks, email it so I can either say, well, no, we haven't considered, I don't have bupkis on it, or I'll get my data collected around your questions. So email me with any questions, and that way I can prep and bring stuff to you guys, if that's all right.
Yep. Yeah.
All right.
Well, you already had brought it up as far as people.
No, a lot of this stuff has been dealt with public concern, and there may be some public, because it will be an open hearing at the planning, but it's been dealt with, and the frequency is slowed down. They still have the same concerns, but they're understanding it now.
I'm just saying, you know the issue better than we do at this point, so what do you think is important for us to know?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
My concern, because I live on Ohio Street, so.
I feel you there. It's on my radar.
Yeah.
All right.
I would expect it to be a long meeting. There's gonna be a lot of information.
There'll be a lot of information. It's been, but it's really important to me that your eyes get on it.
Is there anything you can send out ahead of time?
There certainly is. I can pull the stuff. I mean, some of the stuff's on the Dunes website, but I'd be happy to print it. If you want to come in for printouts, if you prefer things printed out, I remember Barry saying that in the past. I'll be happy to provide that. I'll put together a packet. If you give me a week, I'll put together a packet for you guys. And that way it'll just be like a fact packet. And that way, quick reference, you don't have to sort through and I'm not trying to shape it. I'm just going to put the data in front of you. Okay?
Yeah.
All right. And thanks for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So March 12th, 6:30, everybody good?
Yeah.
All right.
Kevin, I'm sorry, I have another question, if I could. What happens, and that's Kevin Dante, not the other Kevin. So after March 19, let's assume that the things go well in front of the plan commission, then what?
Then we go to a bond signing. The bonds were delayed, which interesting. We'll go to the bond signing. We'll have the money released into a trust bank. And they're looking to get, like Marty mentioned, Alan expressed his desire to be in the ground by April. I said, get your ducks in a row. Listen to Scott Seipel, that's your best chance. That was a productive meeting. They start landscaping, which they can do, and permitting. So they're looking at beginning with the apartment complexes in the middle of the commercial area, working their way out, I think is what we've talked about at least. But that's where we're at on this. It hit a lot of the targets. It's just, I'll share with you right now, the water and the sanitary have really passed muster in terms of what I've communicated with Scott. What we're looking at really is that storm. And we're really being over cautionary up in the north, because that's a pre-existing flood area. That's our water plant. And I'm getting them to fix it before we have to pay for it. That's where I'm at with them. And I've had that openly conversation. The last thing the developer told me during the meeting was, we're good. So that's where I need your eyes on it and make sure. And we'll see if they've, incorporated some ideas that we've shared with them. Then we're up and running until the second. So there's 2 phases to this done. They're gonna build that first phase of 226, then we come back over the top and make sure they did what they told us they were gonna do. At that point, I probably ask for a review, some of the people in this room. And we'll take a look, review, if they've done everything they can, they decide there's a market. They come back in and we issue a second bond at 1.6 million for that second series of infrastructure projects associated with more of the single family homes. That's about 71, I think, in total number. That will be they have till 2029 to make that decision. If they don't act until then the bond dissolves and we're out of the game of housing with Kohler Equities. So they have that limitation. They have to start building by 2029. So there is a secondary round to this too, in case, right, they're not just getting the single approval and then going, there's a secondary review that will happen kind of in midterm, if you want to think of it that way.
So this kind of works, not the same, but kind of in stride like you would a PUD or anything else like that, because you have to have it approved in cycles and what you're saying.
It is. And one thing I want to also share with you guys, not a PUD.
It's not.
And with this condo regime, it's kind of it's its own organism. So the setbacks are not the same as they would be for a typical residential housing development. But most of their setbacks are sitting at 18, 16, and 20. There's some variances in there, but the utilities, we've approved it. The utilities can get down through it. From what Bob and Scott told me, that kind of stuff. But I want you to see it for yourself and ask questions if you see something that's out of the normal. But for the most part, that's been looked at and those setbacks are good.
Okay. So a planning commissioner looks at this, is that during the process, if the planning commission sees things that we think ought to be changed, or do we have that authority, or?
It will be, you have the authority to say no.
Right.
And based upon any type of objection. And if, in that point, it will be on the developer, because like I've told you, they have been told literally numerous times on what the expectation is. And they've been fairly compliant the whole way. I want to make sure that you guys agree with what we've seen.
Right.
But if you say no, it's no.
Right.
No way do I have any control over this process.
So in terms of looking ahead to the 19th, is this an up or down, or is Marty was gonna say, don't screw around with this
Don't
thing.
stall.
Yeah, you're not gonna.
Is it up or down?
Here's the thing, Don, you're not coming back with recommendations. If there's something that is
It's a
not
yes or no.
compliant,
Okay,
then it's a down vote for you,
okay.
right? It's not necessarily looking for adjustments necessarily, right? So in Marty's sense, that up and down just simply means, no, you're not in compliance with what the expectations are. And again, one of the things that the developer expressed, and I told him in no way, this is not about whether or not you think there should be housing or whether or not you like the dunes. That is purely subjective, and I appreciate those opinions, but the opinions don't come into the chamber.
We don't.
Yeah, I know that. And I told him absolutely, this is an objective body. They understand their task and their responsibilities, and they will vote it on merit. And that's as simple as that. And that was expressed to him explicitly by me during the meeting. And Steve was there.
But I know even under the solar deal and stuff, I mean, when it was presented to us, it was dropped, and this was not being dropped in our lap, so to speak.
Absolutely
The
not.
other was, we had no information other than coming in and voting yes or no. We had no,
The purpose of the
No,
information
no,
session.
why? and I don't want it to
Educate.
be another issue, but I want to know if it is not dropped, but if it's the same thing, it's just a vote yes or no.
I am going to provide you information. You are going to look at the presentation and the plans, and then you're going to vote accordingly on that information and those plans.
So it's gonna be a yes or no, but
That's exactly what I'm telling you. Eric.
But if it's a no from us, can they just go to council?
It'll go through council without a recommendation, but they still have the ultimate choice.
They do.
But it has to come through us. I guess, in print, in writing, whatever, showing that it came to the planning commission, whether we for or against, but it's still in minutes and.
And it also, you're the last vetting. You're the last vetting saying, okay, this meets the standards.
So then does it go to town council
Yes.
for a final vote?
It will go as a recommendation, yes. I apologize, Don, because I let that phase out when you asked me the question. I made the
The
assumption.
plan commission will have a powerful voice in this.
Yeah, but our recommendation has been turned down by the town council.
And
Yeah,
it can
make
be,
that
and it can be,
And it can
It can
be, you know,
be.
that's what I'm saying.
But
You know, so they can still vote us down.
they can, but if you vote based upon, if there's something that you point out on those plans that is incorrect, then that has to wait, and I want that for the public.
Yeah.
Right? And whatever the town council does, I'm not,
Yeah, right. You're not on the town.
Please don't let, I know you've been there before, man.
speaking of past president, but under this board, we have that authority to be heard for the public. If we're against, then we have the authority to actually say to the town council, we object to this particular part or whatever. We don't make recommendations one way or the other, but if we
Understand.
object, then we vote no, we know, that's it.
It will be a public meeting.
It'd be public hearing, has to be. Public hearing.
Yeah, they'll have to open up a public hearing, I think.
Has to be a public hearing.
That will. And again, that could bring opinion into the chamber, right? And
It
we've
will.
heard that opinion,
Sure,
Possibly.
absolutely.
but I ask that you concentrate on the plans for the merit.
Right. And under your position, you'll have to control the time limit as far as what people, if they want to complain, whatever, because all these complaints has already been heard. But they still have.
Good and long history.
Public hearing, it could be a long hearing,
Yeah.
but you can limit a time that people can speak.
May make a recommendation.
We'll have
for
a
minutes.
time.
Mr. President, I'd recommend people sign in that want to speak, and I'd recommend that there's a 3-minute time limit on speaking.
I was gonna say, besides the 3-minute time limit, usually they sign in for a public hearing anyways. Do you?
Well.
No, often no, they don't, but in this case, when somebody signs in, they have to sign in with their name and address, which will also help with our secretary taking minutes on that. That would be when they come in, there will be a list for people who want to speak at the hearing.
And then those just attending.
If they're not on the list, then they won't be.
Anybody in the room wants to
list is
speak
for
has to
speaking.
sign it.
They don't sign.
And once you take that list, once you open the hearing, you can use that list. Then when you close the hearing, then they can't speak any longer.
Even after that kind of citizen input, whatever, they can speak on that subject either.
I anticipate that the turnout will be. It follows suit. We feel. I've watched it diminish, but then again, the weather might bring people back to Culver that have been gone and they make up. Totally up to them.
Do we need to make notice on the public hearing notice that we're going to have time limits?
Nope.
in the sign?
No,
Yeah.
that's the thing I had.
You announce that at the meeting
Okay.
That'd be announced
That's
prior.
good to give a heads up.
prior
and stick to that for virtually everyone. Have a timer.
I was gonna say, because some people would, if they signed up and they wish to, they could forfeit their time to somebody else.
No.
No, 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 no. You're not gonna short time to somebody else.
That's floor Congress. You're right. Don't remember what happened on the law.
You'll
Remember,
with seven
I mean, the
or eight
people
minutes
talk
Over
about
here, this one's talking.
Minutes.
And now you give him his time, their time, and that one.
Yeah, that's not
And you're gonna have all this.
Not great.
I recommend during the hearing, that I'd be more than happy to be the timer.
Okay.
And when the timer goes off, they essentially can finish their sentence
I'd already.
and that's it.
Steve to do that.
So we anticipate as a crowd.
Right. Well, we welcome the crowd. as far as-
Yeah, we'll see.
Hard to say.
No. Yeah, it's a,
Absolutely.
we're taking bets. So let's.
Okay, what are they, you got odds?
Could be, we have more at the work session.
Yeah,
Well, at a work session, you don't have to entertain the public speak.
Right.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be a public hearing.
They can listen to what you have to say, but they can't comment on what you say.
Indirect, informational.
Informational.
Any other new business? All right, moving on to citizen input.
Job, guys.
Is there anything online?
And we're fine.
We have one person online. Carrie, would you have any comment? Not hearing anything?
Members' concerns or input?
I'm good, Steve. Thank you.
Barry, do you want to say something?
I did, but I can't remember what it was.
Well,
I was writing notes and when something started, and I stopped.
I'll probably be gone April and May, because I'll be working second shift for those 2 months, just, that's it.
Okay, appreciate it. And so we're still waiting on a new member to possibly be appointed on Thursday. But Wayne has stepped down and so has Andy.
Say March.
He's transferred.
April, May.
I'd like to welcome Derek.
Yeah, definitely.
And yeah, if there's nothing else, I'd like to, oh,
I have one
you
thing.
heard it.
Yeah, I remember that.
Can we get a book made for Jerry?
It was over, the building commissioner's report, talking about the ordinance change and stuff. I had a question for that, you know. You were talking about doing them in groups instead of just simple items or whatever. Are they gonna be prioritized as far as some of the most important things that we have dealt with and find problems that have developed from those? Are any of those ordinances can be addressed?
Let me see if I can, so
Are we going in numerical order according to what you're finding, or are we gonna go to what has caused problems or created?
we'll go through each article of our ordinances one at a time.
Cover to cover, it sounds pretty much.
It is.
He did mention during the town council meeting, she targeted some of the ones that were we were more liable, maybe, or susceptible to litigation.
One of the worst ordinances. One of the ordinances that needs the most improvement would be our unsafe building.
Right.
Like something, unsafe building ordinance that would cover both in town limits and throughout our zoning district. There are a whole lot of parts of the ordinances, as you've seen, some of the little parts that just need cleaned up. And then there may be some other changes that this board may choose to make to those ordinances. And I was just reminded, I'll get you an ordinance book.
But I was looking at some of the ordinances, and I know you and I talked about. I didn't know if any of
So
those.
when we get to those ordinances, that'll be a good discussion for this group.
When we get to those, I mean, I don't want to put the ones that are already creating problems going to the BZA, doing to some of the ordinance the way they read.
Ideally, when all the ordinances are updated, it will be passed as one time. We won't do it hit and miss or per article. We'll update the entire ordinance book and pass it at one shot. That would be the ideal way to do it.
I don't think so.
It is when it comes to tracking those ordinances and updating the master ordinance manual. It's quite challenging. It's easier to do it in one shot.
I know
It's much less expensive and it saves a lot of money. Yeah. Yes, it will.
I worry about.
I believe we're gonna get billed $250 an hour.
That have been creating problems for over 2 to 3 years. And if it takes another year to get this, all the ordinances corrected and approved, then we continue another year with the same problem existing that we know is there, but we're not doing anything about it.
I wish I could give you a time frame on this, but I certainly will be pushing to get it done in considerably less than a year.
Yeah. That makes me feel better, but it doesn't solve.
But just, I don't have a good answer for that, except when it comes to specific ordinances and changes this board may choose to make. Those will have to come up for discussion. If we do it by sections, like I said, I'm working on the easy sections right now. The hard sections are yet to come.
Yeah, I know.
So more,
Right.
more to come.
There's sections that can get us sued.
Right.
Okay. On the other hand, there's sections there's like, they're not gonna get us sued. And we got a new comprehensive plan in the works. I have some concerns about doing a wholesale revision to the zoning ordinance and getting way out over our skis with the 2040 comprehensive plan. Before it's reviewed, you have public comment, and it's adopted in whatever form by the town council. It's about that.
I think it's.
You're on the same page as I am, but
Yeah. I agree. It is a concern, if I may. It is a concern with the comprehensive plan, but remember, if we can get a foundation that is more in line with state statute, we can confirm that and pull out some of the issues that are immediately putting us, like Don said, in legal scopes. We can always come back after the comprehensive plan and tweak. We shouldn't see this as a fossilized one-off type event with Denny doing this for us. But what it does do is clean it up, give us a foundation that we can start hanging and remodeling based upon the 2040. We'll have that kind of time, I believe. We'll have the kind of time on the backside of this, Barry. But it's a fair consideration, but there's just enough to get done that, I mean, try to use the existing one with the 2040 would be ridiculous too, because there's just so many changes and things that have to happen. It would automatically fall out of line by making those changes.
Right.
So clean it up first and
Right.
let's see what happens.
I mean, I know what I'm talking about with the comprehensive plan being a new one. Because I know the last time we had a new comprehensive plan and a lot of the ordinances were trying to be done. I know a lot of changes were made, I guess you could say, because under the comprehensive plan, we looked at some commercial districts that we wanted to be according to the comprehensive plan.
Right.
And the planning commission was kind of moving with that. A lot of the rezoning was done, knowing that this would be a commercial area according to comprehensive plan. Well, we kind of had some of the houses that were still there, but mostly commercial. And after it was changed to commercial, then you had a home that wanted to be built onto. And it was under commercial. And they could have built their house right on the property line.
But I think there's a difference here between zoning and
Right.
the zoning ordinances.
Yeah, well, according to the zoning ordinance, it was commercial. And you had
But that's how the house itself was zoned.
the house itself was still, it was changed to commercial.
So I don't understand what you're saying.
I'm saying it was moved to zoning from R2, R1 to commercial to match the
You're
comprehensive plan.
talking physically where somebody is zoned,
Something-
so that still won't affect our zoning ordinances. That's just the zoning that a particular house is in.
Right.
They're two different things. The zoning where your house, you have your zoning ordinance that controls where different properties, different ordinances for different properties.
Right,
But those properties are, how they're zoned is going to be a separate matter than the zoning ordinances.
but what I'm saying is, under the comprehensive plan, these were rezoned to match the
Right.
comprehensive plan.
And that's about, there's your problem right there. The comprehensive plan should guide, but shouldn't be the impetus behind rezoning
Yeah.
a whole area to commercial. So the real issue here was that the comprehensive plan, rather than serving as a guiding mechanism, served as the impetus to change, from what I'm hearing you say, Barry, and that is not, it should be it should be the guidebook, it should be the playbook, but it can't be, and that's where your problem
Because
exists.
I did not like what was done.
Well-
It was like,
And that's a whole separate issue from the
It,
ordinance.
it is, that's a separate issue from our zoning ordinances.
but it.
That's something different. They're two different,
The plan.
they're two different things.
But I mean, it was under the 5-year plan that we had, and it was pushed to the plan commission to want to zone this as a area that's gonna match the comprehensive plan.
But
Then we're not gonna be.
I think we've strayed from the zoning ordinances themselves, what those read.
Oh, I know, this is not having to do with that, I'm talking about the comprehensive plan, and we're just changing the ordinances according to state whatever, yes. You're not looking at that being R1, you're gonna change it to C1, whatever, right?
Well, physical locations where there's properties and there's zoning will be a whole nother issue. If that even comes up or if it needs changed. But right now, for the purpose of this conversation, it was just for the zoning ordinances. Not where the particular districts are at.
Well, I think Kevin cleared it up pretty good on that, the guy, so. The ordinances didn't change anything under the comprehensive plan either, but the comprehensive plan influenced planning commission to make that change, so. I just want to make sure that they're fair.
any other issues? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
So moved. I got a first and a second.
That'll be it.
All those in favor say aye.
I,
All those opposed, same sign.
Yeah.
Abstain?
And I do want to make sure we know that Jerry are very appreciated.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm sorry, yeah, I want to make that comment. Thank you, for, you know.
Yours or
volunteering.